In this tutorial we're going to look at some of the options available to you for controlling clip playback in AI. Okay, so the first and most obvious way of controlling clips is via the interface itself. Now on the performance page here, what we can see in the middle, these tiles, these represent our pieces of media, and on the left we've got our layer widget, and we can see which layer we've got currently selected by the handles actually on the layer itself. If I left click on a different layer, that layer then becomes the selected layer, and whichever layer is selected when I trigger a clip, that's where the clip will play, unless we've told it otherwise. So just to demonstrate that, if I clip on this clip here, there we go, so we see that fade in. Now if I play a clip on another level, on another layer, so I've selected a second layer there and I'm triggering a clip. Now at the moment we can only see one of those clips, and that's down to the blend mode. It's the way the layers are combined. So on the layer widget itself, where we've got the alpha option, if I click on there and hold my mouse in, and I can choose something like additive, which is a more traditional mode, and so when we're on additive we can then use these faders that we've got at the side of the layer here to fade in and out, like so. And we've actually got a few other controls available to us on this layer widget here. We've got the S for speed, so if I drag that to the left we're going to slow down, to the right we're going to speed up. So it goes from a range of 0 to 1000%, with 100% being the original speed. And if you want to reset to the original speed nice and easily, just take it all the way to the left and you'll see it gets to that 100% value again. You've also got playback modes here on the layer as well, so any clip that's loaded onto the layer will use this play mode unless it has its own specified. You've got all the kind of usuals that you'd expect there: loop forwards, loop backwards, play forwards once, play backwards once, and a few other weird and wonderful types in there as well. Okay, so on a basic level there we've seen that we can just select the layer from the interface and trigger a clip, but sometimes you might have special clips that you want to lock to specific layers. So we call this a layer lock in AI. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to clear out the layers pressing the X first of all. Now let's say that green clip there, I want that to only ever play on layer 1. So if I select the clip and right click on it to see its clip properties, and just down the bottom here on the left we've got trigger on layer. So if I type in the number 1 there, now I right click to close that down again. Now if I choose a different layer, whichever layer I choose, when I trigger that clip it's always going to fire onto that first layer, like so. Okay, so that's a great way of having a sort of a safety net. Maybe you've got a company logo that you don't want to mix in with other content in strange ways, or some certain imagery which always needs to be on the top. So to take it one step further, let's say we've got this green one that we want onto layer 1, but then also on layer 3, let's say layer 2 in fact, we're going to put this orange one as well. Now unless I'm an octopus I can't click both of them at the same time, so what we can do is we can put them in what we call a buddy group. And the idea of a buddy group is that when I trigger one of my clips in the group, all other clips in the group will also trigger, and if we've predetermined a destination for them, they'll go to that specified place. So again I'm going to click on my right click on my orange clip. So this one I'm going to set to layer 2, so we're going back down to trigger on layer there, enter the number 2. Now I mentioned a buddy group, so we've got to put this in a buddy group. I'm going to go for number 1, and let's put the other clip in the same buddy group. There we go, so also number 1. So now if I clear those 2 layers out, and I select the wrong layer, so we're hoping the orange is going to go onto layer 2 and the green onto layer 1. So I've got layer 4 selected there. Now if I trigger one of them, they go to the correct destinations. Okay, so that's a really nice way of triggering multiple clips manually through the interface, but maybe you want to go a little bit more tech, and maybe you want to control it remotely by triggering it with either a MIDI note or an ArtNet signal or even a timecode signal. Okay, so let's look at MIDI first of all. So the easiest way, if you've got a MIDI device attached to your system, if you just press Control and M for MIDI, we can see here on these clips that actually these 4 at the bottom are already assigned. So this is on MIDI note 1, MIDI note 2, MIDI note 3, MIDI note 4. And we can see the 4 here with just the diagonal line. That means they don't yet have a MIDI assignment. I'm going to leave that mode by pressing Control M. So I can either do MIDI learn, or I can actually go into the clip itself and enter the MIDI note there. So I'm going to put 5. So when I come back out now, if I press Control M again, we can see that note number assigned to that specific piece of media. So the same goes with ArtNet. If I press Control I, we can see the ArtNet channel number, which is being used to trigger this specific clip. The ArtNet value, sorry. So again, if I right click on a piece of media, I can actually come in and manually adjust this ArtNet ID. So I'm going to enter 100 there. So if I right click down, we should now see that 100 there at the top, which is great. And of course, another commonly used method of triggering is timecode. So again, you can right click on a clip itself and enter a timecode value there. Also on this front interface, if you press the home button, it will show us the timecode triggers that have been set for the clips. So we can see this clip here on the right has a timecode trigger of 1 hour, 5 minutes, 10 seconds and 15 frames. So it was home to show the timecode triggers, then page up and down on its own to adjust single frames, shift and page up to do seconds, control and page up and down to do minutes, and shift, control and page up and down to do hours. So there are just a few options for triggering your clips in AI.